show, and we are going to vibe to Marvin Gaye. And he's asking for mercy. Where did all the blue skies go? It is amazing to me. It's 2025, and I can take you back to a time where we're asking the same questions. And in this moment, there is a community asking for mercy, but this community is no stranger to being pulled of its resources. But what's also no stranger is one of the electeds that is 10 toes down on the ground saying, not today, not in my ward. And you know him. He's a friend of the show and also just a champion for what is righteous. That's what I could say about him. Let's welcome Alderman David Moore. Along with Alderman David Moore from the 17th Ward is none other than Delmarie Cobb. So we know Delmarie to be a champion and a leader in her political expertise of where we're going in the direction thereof. But in this moment, she is in support of the 17th Ward in their fight to save Walgreens, one of the only standing pharmacies in West Inglewood. So welcome you both to the Midday Show. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Thank you so much, Cleopatra. And before we even get into this, I have just so elated. I wanted to say congratulations to you on earning this spot. I mean, you wasn't given to you, young lady. Let me tell you, you earned it. And you are very, very well respected. And you're just coming out the topics that you've been covering thus far. And the way you cover the topics, I mean, it's just, as Reverend would say, you're doing a Herculean job, So congratulations on your new position. And I look forward to just not only learning more from you, but trying as much as I possibly can add value whenever possible.
I appreciate and receive that. Thank you so much, Alderman. So to you both, this is an ongoing fight across the city with Walgreens departing in communities that are in need of services, particularly when we look at pharmaceutical services, because many of Black communities across the city of Chicago are pharmaceutical deserts. And what that means is that you'd be hard-pressed to find one. So talk to me about this new escalation in the 17th Ward.
Right. So for me, although the Walgreens on 79th and Racine isn't among the 5 that are closing, the one at 71st and Western, which is in the 18th Ward, borders the 17th Ward, and which is in the West Inglewood and Chicago Lawn community area. And many of my residents are impacted by it. And I tell people, although it's not in your ward, you better stand up and say something, because if it's not you today, it'll be you tomorrow. And so for me, the things that I know I've heard residents say, I've heard Walgreens say, when we talk about theft and all of that, that's a national issue, They covered it on CNN. And what you hear companies say, and especially companies in other communities, hey, we're going to work harder to make sure we can, whatever security we need or whatever we need to do to make sure we keep our stores open. But in our communities, they're just at times quick to close them, and that's what I'm combating here.
I received that. Do you have a response, Delmarie?
Well, the response is that the 5 stores that Walgreens has chosen are stores that are all in Black and brown communities. And the one by me that is under assault for closure has been here 71 years. And there's not another Walgreens anywhere close to this location. So the seniors who live within a 2-mile radius, and there's probably about 20 senior buildings within a 2-mile radius, will either have to go to 47th and Lake Park from 35th and King Drive to Roosevelt and State.
So if I may say, because I grew up in the Valley, are you referring to the one on 51st in Cottage Grove?
No, I'm referring to the one in Lake Meadows Shopping Center at
Lake
35th
Meadows.
and King
Okay,
Drive.
So it's the one, okay. So
in Bronzeville.
Bronzeville.
Yes,
all right.
That has been there 71 years.
Okay. I'm taking note. Lake Meadows. So, and when we talk about Lake Meadows, those high rises are units of families that have been there for decades. And although they constantly change in terms of the makeup and the look, those are well-occupied entities that are a number of folks that really rely on that entity, that Walgreens there.
And not only do you have one of the Lake Meadows and Prairie Shores, which are some of the largest apartment buildings in the city, actually. Not only do you have them, those are ready-made customers. They're built-in customers because they're this is the closest location to those high-rises. And for me, I'm fourth-generation Bronzeville. I've never lived more than 3 blocks from this Walgreens in my life. And so I have literally been going there as long as I've been alive. And so this is a major lifeline for this community.
So where do we go from here? Because I just started to pull them up because, we've seen the rollback of a number of Walgreens and CVS's, if I may say, through the years. But 5 in 1 year is alarming. And like you say, you use the word assault. Why did you choose that word?
Because it is an assault. You first you have food deserts. Now you have medicine deserts. And so when you talk about the disparity of black people and their white counterparts and the health disparity and the life expectancy disparity, this is why. And no one talks about the trauma. This is also the trauma that black people have to endure. Something is always being taken away from us. Every time you look up, something is being taken away from us. And we are the most loyal customers of all of these companies. So when you have communities where there are redundancies, 2 and 3 Walgreens within a few blocks of each other, if in fact you're trying to balance your books, close those Walgreens. Don't close the Walgreens where the people have been loyal to you for decades. And this is going to cause a real problem for them in terms of the quality of their lives.
And the other thing, and I think I want to hit on what Delmarie is saying, so we can make it clear. When there are other communities, when you have a Walgreens, sometimes a mile away from each other, and from an economic standpoint, if you're, like she's saying, looking to watch your bottom line. Why would you'll be more apt to close someone that's a mile away from each other than in an area where people now will have to travel almost another 5 miles to get to it. That's number one. Number two is you said what's next, and that's what I'm all about, what's next. What's next is us continue to raise awareness. We shouldn't be the only ones out here screaming. When you're talking about pastors who churches are loaded with seniors mostly, right?
Right.
There's no way they shouldn't be on the front line getting ready to march with us to Deerfield and going to Walgreens and saying, hey, this has to stop. Their seniors are impacted. Those seniors that paid tithes at those churches are impacted. And so everybody's voice should be raised about this, and people should have been included in these conversations. You can't just say, I'm going to close, and then all of a sudden, where the people going to go who don't have cars, or you're talking about putting people on a bus or public transportation in the wintertime or in high heat temperatures when people shouldn't have to endure that. So my voice is just to say it's not okay, because if you don't say nothing, guess what happened, Cleopatra? You saying it's okay. We don't care what you do to us. But I cannot say that. You can't slap my mama and then I tell you and don't say nothing. When you slap my mama, I got to stand up.
If I may, I want to share with the listening audience the locations. We named that there were 5, and I'm going to go in a different direction. So South Shore, 7109 South Jeffrey Boulevard. The one that is near Lake Meadows in Bronzeville is 3405 South King Drive. You have Southeast, 9148 South Commercial. You have Little Village, 4005 West 26th Street. And you have West Inglewood, 7111 Southwestern, that borders between the 18th Ward and the 17th Ward. Although it sits in the 18th Ward, many of the 17th Ward residents to the west are recipients and utilizes it quite often.
And to the east.
And to the east. So I highlight that so folks can notate where this is happening. And you're right, Alderman and Delmarie. At the end of the day, silence speaks volumes. It may indicate that you like it like that it's okay. And I hear you all in the fight that it's not okay, because ultimately it is a part of the equation that appreciates our lives as Black people surviving Chicago and metropolitan areas literally across the country. You know, there's a behavioral pattern to subtract as opposed to add and bring value, especially for those that are working class Black folks that are contributors like you all are and myself. And we're living in areas where it does not reflect the quality of life we deserve. And that's what I think I'm hearing you all say. And I agree.
Well, silence means consent. And when people are not up in arms about something like this, you're saying, okay, we're resigned to you taking away my quality of life or impacting my quality of life. I had a doctor when I sent out the petitions, and we're asking people to please sign the petition. If you can put it up on your website, that would be great, because we need to show Walgreens that this is not okay. But I had a white doctor who responded and said, this is racist. And he knows it's racist. He happens to be a doctor on the South Side. We should have doctors. We should have ministers. We should have senior buildings. We should have elected officials. Everybody should be up in arms over this decision, specifically where these closures are designated.
So listen, guys, you are listening to Alderman David Moore of the 17th Ward and Delmarie Cobb, and we're discussing the 5 closures of Walgreens across Black and brown communities: South Shore, Bronzeville, Little Village, West Englewood, and South Shore. So when we come back, we're going to talk about their efforts, because I want to raise consciousness as to what to do. We're discussing the issue. We recognize the ongoing problem of the subtraction of resources that are vital to Black and brown folks surviving in Chicago. But when we come back, we're going to talk about what we can do and how we can get out in the fight with Alderman David Moore. We'll be back.
You're listening to Cleopatra Draper. We're the talk of Chicago. WVON.
Discussing the assault that has taken place across Black and brown communities when it comes to closing 5 Walgreens throughout, some really, when we think of real areas that are in dire need, I'm trying to get my words together and my headphones right, that are in dire need of quality of life necessities. So pharmaceutical being one, especially for an aging population, is ultimate, is supreme. So when we think about Walgreens, I know that they sell a multitude of needs, right? But the most valuable one that it was created around was addressing pharmaceutical needs, right? That's how it came to be. So to take that away and replace it with what? And Alderman Moore is saying, we're not taking it away at all. We're going to fight back. So tell us the initiative that you all launched.
Delmarie?
So we first started with a petition, and it's on change.org, and we're asking Walgreens to reverse its decision to close the 5 store locations in Chicago. And so that was our first initiative. Our second initiative is, I'm actually going to spend today going around the community and putting up flyers in stores with the QR code so that people can go to that petition. because if we're not able to get sufficient number of signatures, then again it says to Walgreens there is no interest. We are resigned to losing this asset in our community. The next thing is we're reaching out to churches because they need to get involved. And then we want to actually, take some seniors to Deerfield on buses. That's what we need to do. We need to make this an issue where everybody is covering this. And when you talk about pharmacy, most of these stores, I know this one in Lake Meadows, is one of the most profitable at one time in the city of Chicago because of its pharmacies. And Walgreens has recently said that its losses are being made up because of the pharmacy sales, not the retail sales, but the pharmacy sales. So that's why the pharmacy is so important for these communities.
So let me ask you all this, because I'm getting a multitude of messages. So what do you say to the folks that are saying they should stop stealing out of these stores and maybe we can keep stores? Because that is the ongoing rhetoric that gets lost in translation for the assault that is happening right before our eyes. So please speak to those people.
Yes, let me speak to that, because I've been addressing this along with other store closings that happened in the past, specifically the CVS that when it closed on 79th and Halsted. And so that is an issue. But let me start by saying what Delmarie said first. The fight for us is the pharmacy part. So they're not stealing the pharmacy because that's making up. They're profitable there. But we cannot slap people on the wrist. I know there was a law that if it's under, I think, was it $1,000? I forget what it was. You can probably remember better than I do, Cleopatra, when it came in that, hey, we're not prosecuting those people. But we got to deal with repeat offenders. We know there are people who always give this example of Fantasia, right? You probably saw the story with Fantasia when she went into a grocery store because her check was stolen or whatever, her welfare check, and she stole some milk for her baby. No, you wouldn't want a person like Fantasia to go to jail. But when you got repeat offenders, we have to do something. We can't give people just a slap on the wrist. And so there has to be accountability for that, and real accountability, because people just cannot walk into stores and just walk out. But here's the other part. Just like I stated at the outset, when you put the proper security in place and they have the funding to do it, you can stop these things. To say somebody could just come in and walk out and you don't do anything while they're in your store, you're inviting people, to bad people anyway, to do some bad things. And so Walgreens also has a responsibility to make sure that they have the proper security, but we cannot just, from a prosecution standpoint, slap people on the wrist. So there's things that we have to do at the county, state and county level as well.
And I want to say this is also, when you talk about one of the things that the CEO of Walgreens said at its recent stockholders meeting was that they found out that when they were locking up products, that it was a deterrent not only for the thieves, but it was a deterrent in terms of sales, because people were spending so much time waiting for someone to open up a shelf for a product that people were leaving or going to order online. Now, those are people who have choices who can do that. So they decided they're not going to do that. That was something they've been doing in the black community forever. They realized in the white community that doesn't work. So as a result, they're now going to find other technological ways to stop thefts in their stores. So when you look at the money that Walgreens has wasted on other bad business decisions, billions of dollars Walgreens has wasted in the last 10 years. This is not this is an investment in the people who live in the community, who live in the city where you do business, where you started your business. Walgreens was started on Cottage Grove and Bowen, over here by me, only 3 blocks from where they are now in Lake Meadows. This is started as a South Side drugstore. So where is your commitment to the people where you got your start before you became a billion-dollar business?
And I received that, and I did read that article, and I thought, as you did, to, using us as guinea pigs and test dummies, to the fact that did we push back when we had to ask to purchase a product and wait? And then the other groups, they realized that they were losing revenue, and they came to this aha moment. So, tell us how we can access the petition to support you all and circulate that. Is it digital?
Yes, it's on change.org. Go to change.org and just look up reverse Walgreens decision to close 5 store locations in Chicago. That's all you have to do, and the petition will come up, and then sign it. Because we want to get as many signatures as possible to show Walgreens this is not acceptable in our community. And those people who have the luxury of saying, well, I don't care if they close because I can go online. That's not for everybody. And I'm fortunate enough that I don't take medicine. But I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it for we. And that's what we have to get back to. We.
Well, you heard it here. That was
You can also find it on www.17thwardalderman.com, our website, or on our Facebook page, Alderman David Moore. And so we have the links there as well. So people can access those links to sign the petition. Again, at www.17thwardalderman.com. or on our Facebook page, Alderman David Moore.
Well, you heard it here with Alderman David Moore and Delmarie Cobb. They are fighting back, and I want you all to consider joining them because I agree. It's only a matter of time until it's we. So for those that don't think it has nothing to do with me, I implore you to join the we factor of the matter and get in the fight. So go to change.org or check it out at the Alderman's website. Sign the petition. Support those that do need it, even if it has not impacted you. Thank you both for coming on with us today.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And best luck. All right, guys, I'm going to check into the newsroom.